Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. You know, well, me being a contractor, I have got a lot of friends in the trade, and I've got a friend of mine that's in the asphalt business, and what they do is they go around paving streets and highways around the area, and what their technicians use oftentimes to measure the blacktop thickness. Excuse me. What their technicians used oftentimes to measure the thickness of the asphalt coming out of the back of the machine is just a simple little rod like this with a sliding washer or circle thing on the very end. And what this does is able to be adjustable here and measure the thickness coming out. Now, this thing, from what I understand, was made about 30 years ago in someone's garage, and it's a little beat up and it's a little haggard. So my buddy had asked me if there's any way that I could maybe redefine this a little bit, make it a little bit more ergonomical, a little bit more practical, and I've got a pretty good idea for doing that. Now, if you've never done any silicon bronze, that's what we're going to be doing here today. TIG welding silicon bronze. It's a lot of fun. Let's get started today's video.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is cut the bars to length right here. Now, I am making a total of 5 pieces here, and you might notice that this bar diameter is a little bit thicker than what the actual tool is. I believe the tool was 1/4 inch thick. This is 3/8 thick diameter. I just wanted a little bit more robust, a little bit more strong, so it be less likely to bend. So I'm over here at the Burr King. I'm just rounding off the edges, kind of deburring everything and making them look pretty nice right there. And then I need to make a handle. And so I decided that 4 inches is a good length for the handle. And then I just took it over to my brake press. This is my Swag off-road brake with the Harbor Freight 20-ton press. Now, you know, I've only had this thing for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months now, and I never thought that I would use something like this as much as I did. And ever since I've had it, this thing gets a lot of use. And this is a good example right here. It bends all different types of flat bar, round bar. I've done everything, and you can just see how smooth and effortlessly this thing works. And here I'm using 2 at a time. I probably could have used 3 or 4 at a time. I just didn't want to risk it. And anyways, nevertheless, I got all 5 pieces bent right there, perfect 90 degrees. And the next thing to do is to cut out the round diameter circle that I'm going to be using for this flat part, this washer part. Now, I'm over here to the Delusional Design plasma table, and I programmed a part in here, and I'm just getting in there, selecting the part, 3-inch circle, 5/8 diameter hole in the center. And just fire up the HTP 875 micro cut, flip on the table, and we're ready to cut. You know, there's been a lot of controversy going on out there in YouTube world about plasma tables, plasma cams, and all that. I like to try to stay out of that whole deal, but I do want to say that I've had no issues at all with my Delusional Design table. I've had it for about 5 months now and just made thousands of cuts on it, and it's been flawless. I have had not one problem with it at all. And you can just see how it just simply cuts out everything that I need to cut out. You can see that 5 circles right there, cut them out, and just pick them out, and we're ready to move forward. Does a pretty good job. There's a little bit of dross on the bottom side, but for the most part, pretty good job. Now this is the round tubing that I'm going to be using. The ID is about 1/1000 over 3/8. It fits absolutely perfect on this 3/8 cold roll. Just literally really smooth. And the outside OD is 5/8 diameter. It's a 1/8 thick wall thickness on the material itself. So I need to cut these things off. Now there's no rhyme or reason of the length. I just thought that 3 inches might be a adequate length I would need to do what I need to do. So that's what I chose, was 3 inches. Took it over to the slugger and just whacked these things off. Now this tubing is called DOM is what I was told, drawn over mandrel. There's actually no seam on the inside, and that's what makes it be able to slide so smooth on the inside and such a tight fit. See, I took it over to the the Burr King and just deburred everything. And got them ready to go. The next thing to do is to drill a hole into the center of this tubing. Now, I've got it over my mill drill press right here, and it's kind of a little bit of a challenge. You know, even though with a center punch in there, you can see how the drill wants to just work its way off to the side. I ultimately, you know, got it in there right and got them drilled out. And this is, you know, just I think it's a number 7 because I am using a 1/4-20 tap right here, but you can see that got them all drilled out. This is the 1/4-20 tap right here. You know, funny thing about this tap set that I have right here, I literally have had this set. I bought it at a hardware store when I was like 20 years old, and I've had it all this time. I still have every piece to it. I've used it numerous times. Now, it's not real top of the line or not real quality stuff, but hey, it's served its purposes for all the things that I need to get done. And you know, it's amazing. I just hang on to everything and take care of the tools that I've had my whole life pretty much. Anyways, we're getting these things all tapped out. Now, even though this is just an 1/8-inch wall thickness, I'm worried about this thumb screw right here not being enough thread. So this is what I chose to do. I got a 1/4-20 nut, and I got that on there. We're going to go ahead and TIG weld that on there with the silicon bronze, and that's going to give us plenty of thickness right here. So we're operating off the Everlast Power TIG 210 EXT here. This is a CK number 9 series torch, and this is what I like to use on small, delicate work like this. You know, it's super lightweight, it's easy to maneuver, and I'm only operating off about 70 or 80 amps right here. And you might see that I got that Pyrex cup on there, and that's really handy. You can see right through it, and for guys like me that struggle a little bit with that, works out pretty good. Well, there was the first one. You can see that everything worked just as I had planned it, and that worked out pretty good. So the next thing to do is just to go ahead and get the rest of these things welded around. Now, this silicon bronze, I'm telling you, if you've never welded with it or never TIG welded with this, it's really a joy. This stuff makes you think you're the welder. It's so easy and fluid. You know, it forms a puddle instantly, and you know, it just flows really nice. And the reason why I chose to use the silicon bronze is because, you know, I didn't want to put a lot of heat into this. I was worried about distortion and warping. So I went ahead, and that's why I chose to do this. Just a little bit of heat is all it takes to just get that around there. It worked out really good. You guys might see this this little vise that I'm using right here. You know, that's just another thing. My father-in-law is a retired machinist, and you know, every once in a while he goes through his stuff out. He's got his little shed out there in the North 40, and where he keeps all his stuff stored. And every once in a while he comes into my shop and brings these things in and asks me, hey, if I'd be interested in this, do I want this, do I want that? And this is one of the tools that he brought over, a little tiny vise. This might be for like a drill press vise or something that might be used on some sort of a milling machine or something. And so I took it, and you know, this is something that I've been using almost every day since he's given it to me. You know, it currently sits over there on my portaband, my DeWalt portaband, and I use it for holding round stock that you know, you're trying to cut, and if you don't have it held in a vise properly, bad things can happen with that. You can just see right here, this is another good use for it, as it just sits right here. I'm able to put these round parts in there, and this is the perfect situation for getting these things, you know, welded out. You know, I've had the Everlast Power TIG 210 EXT for about 4 or 5 years now, and I had a little minor problem with it early on, got it fixed, and it's been working flawlessly ever since. Well, there you are. I got all the pieces put together and welded. So the next thing is to go ahead and actually get these tubes welded to the flat part. And I'm using the same process as before. Just some silicon bronze, just working my way around. You know, you see that big old thick piece of flat plate. You know, my welding table is not perfectly flat, and this is a perfectly flat piece of material. I use it for small stuff like this, and for this situation right here, just dropping the flat washer on there dropping the tube in there, and I had to make a little bit of adjustment with the tube, banging around to get them plumb. But you know, this is again just a really good, useful tool to have. I've got all kinds of different sizes of these things. You know, moving along right here and getting all 5 of them done. This is working out pretty good for me. Now you see that, you know, I'm not the TIG welder, so some of these guys can maybe work their way all the way around the tube with just you know, maybe twice to go all the way around. Where me, I'm just getting about a 1/2 inch at a time right here, making a twist a 1/2 inch at a time. I just don't do it all the time, so I'm not that, you know, practiced with it. All right, so here's the very bottom. I could have not done anything with it and been fine, but I just had to finish this off, and I just thought this would be another great way of finishing off. You can see I'm propping myself up with that piece of round tube, and I was able to just get a nice bead all the way around all 5 of them right here. You know, you can see, like I said, you can see me propped up on that tube. You know, you know, the key to TIG welding, at least for me, is being as comfortable as you can get and get yourself in a position that you're able to do everything nice and smoothly. And here's a good example of that. You know, I'm able to rest my my palm on this tube and just stay in the position I need to be and stay nice and steady. Yeah, worked out pretty good. And there's a shot of my TIG torch holder. You know, I'm pretty proud of these things. I've got they've seemed to work pretty good for me, and you can see how it just holds everything in there really nice. So I got them all done, and once we're done, we're getting close to being to the end here. The last thing I want to do is just kind of grind that flat on the bottom. Just grab the Walter angle grinder right here and just made short order of knocking off that that weld and getting everything nice and flat. You know, for just putting things together in your head and trying to figure it out, that's what I did right here. You know, I'm pretty proud of this thing. Worked out really good. Worked out just the way I was hoping it was going to. Nice and strong. Felt real solid. There's all 5 pieces right there. You know, the only thing left to do is to get some paint on this before we call this a finished product. And, you know, I didn't know what color, and the customer didn't care, and I just thought safety orange might be the way to go. I don't know, you know, Caltrans or whatever, I don't know. So there they all are, nice and complete, and worked out really good. You know, the customer was really happy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.